Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, US and UK launch fresh strikes on Houthis in Yemen. India and Nigeria sign agreements to bolster cooperation in energy, healthcare, mobility and consular cooperation. And India diaspora worldwide celebrate consecration of Ram Lalla in the Indian holy city of Ayodhya. The United States and the United Kingdom conducted further strikes against Yemen's Houthis. Bright orange flashes from explosions were seen in Yemen's capital Sana'a in the early hours on Tuesday morning. The Pentagon said the latest strikes targeted a Houthi underground storage site as well as missile and surveillance capabilities. British Defence Ministry also released a footage of its aircraft taking off from an unidentified location. The ministry said precision-guided bombs were used to strike multiple targets near Sana'a airfield. The Houthis control the most populous parts of Yemen and said their attacks are in solidarity with Palestinians. The Houthi attacks have disrupted global shipping and stoked fears of global inflation. They have also deepened concern that fallout from the Israel-Hamas war could destabilize the Middle East. The United States on Monday called for Israel to protect innocent people after Israeli forces stormed one hospital in Gaza. Israeli troops moved for the first time into Al-Mawasi district near the Mediterranean coast, west of Khan Yunis. Forces stormed Al-Khair hospital and arrested medical staff in the main city in southern Gaza. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby on Monday said Israel had a right to defend itself, but added that US expects them to do so in accordance with international law.
We know that Hamas deliberately uses places like hospitals to store weapons, house their fighters, even to some degree for command and control. And so that places a special need on the Israeli Defense Forces. They have a right to defend themselves. They have a right to go after these leaders. They have a right to take away the ability for Hamas to store and resource themselves, even if that is in hospitals. But again, I would say the same thing that we've said before on this issue, that we expect them to do so in accordance with international law.
Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz sidestepped discussion of a two-state solution at a meeting with European Union counterparts in Brussels on Monday. The EU foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, circulated a discussion paper with a roadmap to peace that calls for a preparatory peace conference organized by the EU and Arab nations. The US and UN were also invited to be conveners, while shortly before a meeting with its counterparts from the 27 member states, Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki said EU ministers must call for a ceasefire in Gaza.
We have to call collectively for a ceasefire. We cannot accept anything less. We cannot be hesitant about a ceasefire. Every day that we show hesitancy, people are being killed. Innocent people are being killed, children and women and elderly. And this is intolerable and unacceptable. The life of Palestinians really matter, and we cannot accept that, the life of Palestinian children are being really treated less than the life of children anywhere in the world.
Israel has proposed a multi-phase deal to Hamas, suggesting up to a 2-month pause in the fighting. The proposal through Qatari and Egyptian mediators includes release of all remaining hostages held in Gaza. It came a day after Israel rejected a deal by Hamas. According to Israeli officials, more than 130 hostages are still being held in Gaza. Neither Israel nor Qatar or Egypt have confirmed this development so far. Reports about progress in peace talks came as US President Joe Biden's advisor, Brett McGurk, traveled to West Asia. The likelihood that Lebanon being drawn into a war with Israel is growing. Lebanon's caretaker Foreign Minister Abdullah Bo Habib on Monday said concerns are growing that Lebanon could be dragged into a regional conflict in a spillover from Israel-Hamas conflict. While addressing the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations in New York, Abdullah Bo Habib said that such a conflict would not be a picnic for Israel.
Yes, we worry that we are pushed to this war. Hezbollah has more means than Hamas had. And therefore, I mean, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be costly for everybody. Of course, Israel has the Air Force, and they can dominate the air and the land as well. But on the whole, it's going to be damaging for everybody. I think the Israelis know that. And I think that they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't attack. And if they really reach an agreement in Gaza, this would stop immediately and automatically would stop in southern Lebanon or northern Israel.
Updates now on Russia-Ukraine war. Since his first visit to neighboring Ukraine, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that the situation at the border with Ukraine had become clearly better. In a joint news briefing with Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, Tusk delivered a message of friendship to President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Zawieszenie blokady z jednej strony, działania.
The suspension of the blockade on the one hand and the actions of the Ukrainian side in terms of clearing the passage for Polish carriers returning from Ukraine have resulted in the situation improving significantly. It's clearly better. There are no more dramatic traffic jams.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk also pledged to support Ukraine during its EU membership negotiations this year.
Europe will find a way, and this is what we are working on now, to support Ukraine without any reservations, with or without Orban, to support Ukraine in its integration into the European Union, as well as providing support now during the war, financial support, political support and military support.
Ahead of the UN Security Council meeting to discuss Ukraine, Ukraine's ambassador to the United Nations, Sergei Kistylista, said that Ukraine will win this war, but not only Ukraine, but the whole democratic world.
We reaffirm our unwavering support for Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders. We condemn continued military support for Russia's war of aggression, including by Iran, Belarus, and DPRK. Ukraine will win this war, but not only Ukraine, but the whole democratic world.
The Turkish Parliament's General Assembly is set to debate Sweden's NATO membership bid on Tuesday. Voting will be held after more than a year of delay. The decision of voting comes after the Turkish Foreign Affairs Commission approved the country's bid for membership last month. In 2022, Sweden and Finland applied for NATO membership. Finland joined the organization in April 2023, while Turkey refused to ratify Sweden's bid. Turkey and Hungary are the only NATO members yet to ratify Sweden's application. Former U.S. President Donald Trump remains the clear front-runner as voting gets underway in the New Hampshire primary. The northeastern state is the second to vote, in which Republicans should lead the party to challenge Joe Biden in November's election. Nick Harper gets us this detailed report from Manchester.
Well, here in New Hampshire, we'll see voting throughout the day on Tuesday. Polling stations throughout the state opened for Republicans to cast their vote to say which person they want leading the party in November's election and challenging the Democratic President Joe Biden. It has now come down to a two-candidate race. Donald Trump, the former president, versus his UN ambassador, Nikki Haley. That's because another candidate, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, pulled out on Sunday saying he sees no path forward to victory. His polling numbers were very low here in New Hampshire. Perhaps just 4 or 5% of the state was expected to vote for him. In terms of the polling for the other two candidates, we still see Donald Trump way ahead, potentially anywhere between 11 to 19% ahead of Nikki Haley. Now, she needs to show that she is an alternative to Donald Trump, that she can present a different vision for the country, one that is different to Donald Trump's. And she's hoping that the moderate independent voters in this state could give her a win. She knows she needs to cause an upset by winning here or coming in a very strong second. We were at a rally that she had in the city of Exeter, New Hampshire, and she seemed to appeal to the younger, college-educated voters, many of her messages seeming to resonate with them. But this is perhaps her last best shot at showing that she can become the Republican nominee. A big win for Donald Trump may make it hard for Nikki Haley to hang on in the race, although she is saying no matter what happens here in New Hampshire, she intends to compete in the next few state-by-state primaries, one in Nevada and then one in South Carolina in just over a month's time. She's hoping to do well there as she is the former governor of that state. But it will all depend on what the results are here in New Hampshire on Tuesday evening. Nick Harper in Manchester, New Hampshire, reporting for DD India.
To further support his father, Donald Trump Jr. campaigned in Hollis, New Hampshire on Monday. New Hampshire presidential primary election is due to take place on Tuesday. Trump said the U.S. went from a country with peace, growing wages and low gas to the antithesis. In his speech, Trump Jr. mocked Republican candidate Nikki Haley. The winner of the nomination is expected to face President Joe Biden in November. U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris took aim at Republican curbs on abortion rights, an issue for Democrats that they hope will attract independent voters and increase turnout in November. Republicans have issued restrictive abortion laws in nearly 24 states since the Supreme Court reversal of abortion rights. In his address, Biden said women in America face a new cruel reality because of new laws curbing reproductive rights. Meanwhile, Harris, kicking off a national tour on abortion rights in the key battleground state of Wisconsin, blamed former U.S. President Donald Trump for helping reverse U.S. abortion rights.
Today, in 2024, in America, women are turned away from emergency rooms, forced to travel hundreds of miles to get basic health care in another state that may have a different rule, forced to go to court to plead for help. They turned a deeply private and painful matter into a public matter. And we need the American people to keep making their voices heard. That cruel reality is a result of extreme Republicans who for years have made it their mission to end the Roe v. Wade decision.
On the 51st anniversary of Roe, we speak of it in the past tense. In the last 19 months, in states across our nation, extremists have proposed and passed laws that criminalize doctors and punish women. The former president handpicked 3 Supreme Court justices because he intended for them to overturn Roe. He intended for them to take your freedoms. And it is a decision he brags about. Yes, he does.
The trial of E. Jean Carroll's defamation suit against Donald Trump was delayed until Wednesday after a juror fell ill. U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan in Manhattan sent one of the 9 jurors home to get a COVID test after the juror reported feeling hot and nauseous. The trial concerns Trump's June 2019 denials of Carroll's claim that he raped the former LA Magazine advice columnist in the mid-1990s in a Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room in Manhattan. A different jury last May ordered Trump to pay Carroll $5 million over a similar October 2022 denial. The judge will decide later whether Trump can testify. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Amidst the domestic crisis, Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa meets with U.S. officials for security and defense talks. United Kingdom braves Stormish even as rail and air services were disrupted and thousands of homes were left without power. Beno, the mascot giraffe, embarks on its journey to the African safari in Pubella for a better life.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to more updates. Senior Mexican, U.S. and Guatemalan officials will meet for talks on migration as Mexico sets out plans aimed at reducing pressure on the U.S.-Mexico border. Speaking after meeting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken last week in Washington, Mexican Foreign Minister Alicia Bárcena said the two sides wanted to allow asylum seekers to sign up further south for a U.S. government app used for scheduling appointments. The step planned for the app aims to reduce a buildup of people on Mexico's northern border. The minister said Mexican and U.S. officials reached 10 important agreements during their meetings. Standardizing migration figures, combating human smuggling networks, and a plan to visit Panama's perilous Darien Gap were among the U.S.-Mexico agreements set out by Bárcena. Bárcena also said an investigation will be held into weapons from the U.S. Army entering Mexico, following alerts sent to the U.S. by local officials. Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court agreed to temporarily let U.S. Border Patrol agents cut or remove razor wire fencing that Texas officials placed along part of the Republican-governed state's border with Mexico to deter illegal border crossings. The justices granted a request by President Joe Biden's administration to pause a lower court's ruling that temporarily blocked federal agents from disturbing the fencing. The U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which issued the disputed interim ruling, is set to hear arguments on February 7th over whether Border Patrol agents violated Texas law by cutting the razor wire barrier. And getting you more on the migrant crisis, a group of 45 migrants arrived at a Canary Islands beach on January 22nd, receiving medical attention from Red Cross members. The number of migrants entering Spain irregularly by sea has risen nearly 300% in January from 2023, with majority arriving in the Canary Islands. Between January 1st and 15th, 3,658 migrants entered Spain by sea, most in fragile boats, up from 921 in the year-ago period, according to Interior Ministry data. Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa met with U.S. officials for security and defense talks in Quito. Noboa, Ecuadorian Foreign Minister, and Ecuadorian Security Ministers received a visit from Senator Special Envoy for the Americas of the President of the U.S. Both parties agreed to increase cooperation in security and defense during the meeting. Both also stressed on the importance of increasing investment and trade as a direct way to boost economy and generate employment. Ecuador's government blames powerful cocaine trafficking gangs for the growing violence, including a recent attack on the hospital, hostage-taking, and interruption of a live television broadcast by armed gunmen. Ecuador's police deported the leader of the Colombian armed group Oliver Sinisterra. Carlos L., known was captured on Sunday night in Ibarra in the north of Ecuador following 3 months of preparations by security forces. Carlos L. was involved in criminal activities in Ecuador, especially with terrorist groups in San Lorenzo near the border with Colombia. The Oliver Sinisterra Front operates in Colombia's Nariño province and Ecuador's Esmeraldas province. A military operation in Ecuador uncovered a record 22 metric tons of cocaine, one of the country's biggest drug seizures 2 weeks ago against organized crime. The army said in a statement that drugs distributed across 733 parcels was likely intended for transport across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. The operation followed 6 months of planning and surveillance. Ecuador's government blames powerful cocaine trafficking gangs for the growing violence, including a recent attack on a hospital, interruption of a live television broadcast by armed gunmen. President of Bolivia, Luis Arce, warned of a new right seeking to destabilize the country and support a conservative and colonial idea. During the ceremony to mark the 15th anniversary of the creation of the plurinational state, the president also rejected an attempted road blockade by protesters. The protesters and supporters of former President Evo Morales took to the streets calling for judicial elections, which were due to be held last year. Arce and Morales have an internal dispute in the governing party that has deepened due to the former president's aspiration to be a candidate in the 2025 elections. U.S. reported a yet another mass shooting incident on Sunday after a man shot dead 7 people at 2 locations near Chicago. Police officials said they did not know of the motive for the killing, but said the man knew the victims. Adding further, they said that the search for the suspect is underway.
This incident included several deceased persons in 2 separate residences. A total of 7 people were found shot to death in these 2 locations. We are currently looking for a suspect by the name of Romeo Nance. Nance is 23 years old. He's 6'2", 160 pounds. He's an African-American male. His last known address was right here in the 2200 block. At this time, we do not have any motive. Obviously, this is an ongoing investigation. We're deeply entrenched in this, and as of this time, we're still moving forward with that.
A powerful earthquake of Richter scale 7.1 jolted Kyrgyzstan-Xinjiang border region on Tuesday. China's media reported 14 aftershocks following the primary earthquake, 2 of which measured above a magnitude of 5. Several injuries were also reported and various houses in the region collapsed. The meteorological department stated that the epicenter of the quake was Yukturpan County, where temperatures have plummeted, reaching lows of -18 degrees Celsius. In Almaty, the largest city in Kazakhstan, residents evacuated their homes, congregating outside in spite of the cold weather. The tremors, along with subsequent aftershocks, occurring approximately 30 minutes later, were also experienced in Uzbekistan. Authorities have said the rescue operation is underway in all the affected areas. All right, let's get to weather-related updates now. Stormish brought strong winds of over 90 miles per hour to Scotland, causing debris removal from vehicles. Heavy rains lashed Cumbria, England, stranding vehicles in water. A recovery team assisted a lorry on a motorway near Carlisle. Also, Britain's rail network was disrupted, flights were cancelled, and thousands of homes were left without power. UK Power Networks restored power to most properties in eastern and southeast London, England, but 45,000 homes in Northern Ireland remained without power. A tropical low in the Coral Sea is expected to develop into a cyclone and hit Australia's northeast later this week, a month after Cyclone Jasper caused widespread damage. The weather system, about 500 miles off the coast of Queensland state, could intensify to a Category 3 cyclone, bringing heavy rain and life-threatening flash flooding. Storm warnings span 900 kilometers of Queensland's northeast coast, with intense rainfall and wind gusts of up to 90 miles per hour forecast for some tourist towns along the Great Barrier Reef. All right, let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Cameroon launched the world's first routine malaria vaccine program, a World Health Organization-approved vaccine developed by British drug maker GSK. The vaccine, which kills nearly 500,000 children under 5 annually in Africa, is meant to work alongside existing tools like bag nets. However, few people received the shot and some parents were hesitant to consent to the vaccine. Oscar-winning actors Michael Douglas, Helen Mirren, Mel Gibson and Russell Crowe have been nominated for the 44th annual Razzi Awards, which highlight the worst performances in the previous year's films. Other nominees include Sylvester Stallone's Expendables, horror remake Exorcist Believer, and Salma Hayek and Jennifer Lopez. The 74th Berlin Film Festival will feature 20 films, including Pepe and La Coquina, featuring Rooney Mara. Director Carlo Chatrian promises more colors than ever. The small film is Small Things Like These, a historical drama about Irish religious oppression. Martin Scorsese will receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. Koko Jones, a former Disney star, has become a first-time Grammy nominee in 5 categories, including Best New Artist. Jones, who began her career as a recurring guest on Disney's So Random and Let It Shine, shared her struggles as a dark-skinned black girl in a 2020 YouTube video. She plans to compete in the Grammy Awards on February 4th. Beno the Giraffe, a renowned mascot giraffe, has left Central Park in Mexico for his new safari home, the African Safari in Puebla. The move comes amid pressure from activists over poor conditions in his previous home. Beno, who has lived alone in a small cage for 8 months, is expected to share a space with 7 other giraffes. A quick break ahead, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Lord Ram Temple in Ayodhya opens the doors for general public for darshan. Devotees participate in the first Aarti after consecration ceremony. It's a January Diwali in India. Lights, firecrackers, sweets and chants of Jai Shri Ram mark the grand consecration ceremony in Ayodhya. Not just India, but devotees all over the world welcomed Lord Ram. Stay with us as we get you how people in Oxford University celebrated Ram Lala's homecoming.
Ram Gulela Temple in Ramkot is not far away from Ram Janmabhoomi main temple complex. And now we delve into the story behind this ancient temple.
ये राजा विक्रमादित्य से पहले का आश्रम है। यहाँ भगवान गुलेल खेला करते थे। तो उस जगह पे आप बैठे हुए हैं जहाँ भगवान का क्रीड़ा स्थल था। इसलिए इस मंदिर का नाम राम गुलेला मंदिर।
The Ram Gulela temple complex is being refurbished but also houses ashram or spiritual hermitage or monastery for young disciples of Hinduism and its various trustees.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick recap of the top stories once again. US and UK launch fresh strikes on Houthis in Yemen. India and Nigeria sign agreements to bolster cooperation in energy, healthcare, mobility and consular cooperation. And India diaspora worldwide celebrate consecration of Ram Lalla in the Indian holy city of Ayodhya. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Monday co-chaired the 6th India-Nigeria Joint Commission meeting alongside his Nigerian counterpart Yusuf Tugar. The two leaders noted the expansion of economic cooperation, especially trade and investment. The two sides agreed to strengthen people-to-people ties, mobility and consular cooperation. India and Nigeria also cooperate closely in multilateral forums and decide to take that tradition forward. Addressing the joint press statement after the conclusion of the meeting, Dr. S. Jaishankar said that both the countries signed agreements in energy, power, renewables, transport, healthcare, fintech, agriculture and security.
One of the agreements we signed was on solar energy. So we will see much more cooperation in the field of green and clean growth. Secondly, Nigeria and India, we both face big health challenges. How do we make medicines, health facilities affordable and accessible? So that is also something we will be looking at. We discussed transportation. How can we work together on transportation, on other forms of energy, on security. On investments on technology of various kinds, we are even looking at how do we use digital technology for cashless payments between our two countries.
Earlier, Dr. S. Jaishankar addressed the Nigeria-India Business Forum organized by CII and NICCI. The visiting leader underlined that deepening economic partnership is the key to the expansion of the ties. He also encouraged businesses to embrace and enhance their networking, identify regulatory and policy impediments, and utilize opportunities.
Today, I would just say if there are some big geopolitical bets that India is taking, one of the bets is on the rise of Africa. That we are betting that in the next decade, we're going to see an amazing transformation here. So whether it is opening new embassies, encouraging more trade and investment interactions, creating more opportunities for political contacts, getting the systems really to know each other more, that is very much our objective.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also visited the Indian High Commission in Abuja. He unveiled a bust of Mahatma Gandhi and planted a sapling in the Indian Commission premises there. Indian High Commission premises there. The minister thanked members of the Indian community for joining and attending the occasion. President of the 78th session of the UN General Assembly, Denis Francis, arrived in New Delhi on Monday on a 5-day visit to India. He expressed delight to arrive in New Delhi on an auspicious day when the country was celebrating its second Diwali. President Francis will hold talks with India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, on key multilateral issues. He is expected to hold discussions on peace, progress, prosperity and sustainability. Upon his arrival, the visiting dignitary paid respects to one of history's most transformative figures, Mahatma Gandhi. From Rajghat, his resting place, he echoed to the world his visionary words, and I quote, "There is no way to peace. Peace is the way." Our returning focus to all the celebrations after the consecration ceremony. The Ram temple in the Indian city of Ayodhya was thrown open to the general public from Tuesday morning. Devotees in large numbers thronged to the temple to participate in the first Aarti after the consecration ceremony. The gates will be open to the public from 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Thousands of devotees are expected to visit the temple town daily for the darshan of Ram Lalla. And Diwali, the festival of lights, came early for India as people across the country celebrated the consecration of Ram Lalla in his birthplace at Ayodhya. In Western India's Gujarat, the Swaminarayan Gurukul Vishwavidya Pratishtanam Gurukul in Ahmedabad was decorated with hundreds of special lights on Monday evening to mark the opening of the Ram temple. Several people in North India's Haridwar celebrated the occasion by lighting earthen lamps. People in northeast Assam celebrated the occasion with bursting firecrackers and lighting lamps. Firecrackers also adorned the skies over Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch as locals celebrated the historic day. People lit up earthen lamps in large numbers in Chhattisgarh to mark Ayodhya Temple's Pran Pratishtha ceremony. Grand celebrations were also held in eastern India's Hubli as devotees commemorated Ram Temple Pran Pratishtha ceremony in Ayodhya. Grand celebrations were held in southern India's Vijayawada as devotees commemorated Ram Temple Pran Pratishtha ceremony. Celebrations were also held in the hill state of Himachal Pradesh, where the momentous occasion was celebrated by bursting crackers and lighting earthen lamps. All right, so that was about the celebrations in India, but the whole world is rejoicing in the happiness of Ram Lalla's consecration. Indian diaspora around the globe celebrated the homecoming of Lord Ram with great enthusiasm and devotion. In Australia, the consecration of Ram Temple in Ayodhya was broadcast at Sri Durga Temple in Melbourne. Consul General Dr. Sushil Kumar attended the celebration along with enthusiastic members of Indian diaspora, making it a truly vibrant and culturally significant celebration. In the Hindu Society at Oxford University and the Centre for Hindu Studies, University of Oxford, a special event was organised on the occasion. Students and members from various international communities joined in large numbers. The event included signing of devotional songs, Ram bhajans and holy chants. Students expressed joy and satisfaction regarding construction of the temple in Ayodhya. Various temples and several community organizations across Canada organized events at various places to celebrate the consecration of Ram Lalla in Ayodhya on Monday. Presenting visuals of the celebrations at Regina of Saskatchewan province and those held at Winnipeg, Manitoba province, where the devotees danced to devotional songs and the chants of Lord Ram. Indian diaspora celebrated this event with great fervor and enthusiasm. Indian community in Juba, South Sudan organized an event at the only Hindu temple in the country to celebrate the consecration of Ram Mandir at Ayodhya. Officials from Embassy of India in Juba also participated in the event. In Mauritius, the Pran Pratishtha ceremony was observed concurrently in all the temples. Special events were organized at the Ramayana Center. The verses of Ramayana resonated within the temple across the country, fostering an atmosphere of devotion and cultural celebration. The members of the Indian community in Lome, the capital city of Togolese Republic, also known as Togo, organized a cultural activity at Hindu temple in Lome to mark the inauguration of the Ram temple at Ayodhya. Various religious activities were organized, including community feasts. The Indian community in Tanzania celebrated the inauguration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya with a grand event at Sri Sanatan Dharma Sabha temple in Dar es Salaam. The event included live telecast of Pran Pratishtha Mahotsav in Ayodhya, lighting up of 1008 diyas and devotional songs dedicated to Bhagwan Ram. The officers of the Indian High Commission of India, Dar es Salaam, also joined the celebrations. Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The full dress rehearsal of India's Republic Day celebrations will take place in New Delhi on Tuesday. Movement of vehicles is likely to be disrupted during the rehearsal. The Delhi police has announced traffic restrictions near Kartavya Path and advised public to plan their journey accordingly. India's President Draupadi Murmu presented Pradhan Mantri Rashtra Bal Puraskar to 19 children in New Delhi. President Murmu said this award ceremony is an opportunity to encourage amazing potential and talent of the young achievers. She appreciated the children for their excellent work. A layer of fog grips India's national capital amidst the cold wave. Several flights were delayed at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport due to low visibility amid fog. Several trains bound for national capital were also running behind schedule. The Indian Meteorological Department said that minimum temperature in Delhi would be 7 degrees Celsius. Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh welcomed newborn cubs as the Namibian cheetah named Jwala has given birth to 3 cubs recently. This comes just weeks after Namibian cheetah Asha gave birth to her cubs. India's Environment Minister in a social media post has congratulated all the wildlife frontline warriors and wildlife lovers across the country. A short break ahead, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. US stocks hit a record high close for a second straight session, banking on tech stocks, adding to recent gains. Stay with us for all the action from the Australian Open 2024. And a paraplegic adventurer is sit skiing across South Pole for spinal injury cure.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political, and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick look at the top stories from the world of business now. The S&P 500 hit a record high close for the second straight session on Monday as tech stocks added to recent gains and investors awaited upcoming corporate reports for clues on this year's profit outlook. The benchmark confirmed a bull market last week on Friday after posting a record high close for the first time in 2 years. The S&P 500 gained 10.62 points or 0.22% to end at 4,850 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 49.32 points or 0.32% to 15,360. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 138.01 points or 0.36% to 38,001.
The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average have hit all-time highs yet again. Unfortunately, what comes with that is excessive valuations, as the S&P 500 is now trading at a PE above 23. Now, that doesn't mean that the market can't or won't move higher. It just means that attractively valued stocks are going to be a little bit more difficult to find. And investors are now going to be a little bit more challenged to find growth opportunities, because I would make the argument that the majority of the gains that we were anticipating for 2024 may have been folded into the end of 2023 and the beginning stages of 2024.
The Bank of Japan will announce its monetary policy decision on Tuesday. As usual, the central bank is widely anticipated to maintain its interest rates unchanged. The Japanese yen has been on the back foot since March 2022. The index recovered through November and December when the Bank of Japan tightened the monetary policy de facto by increasing its tolerance on long-term yields. Uncertainty has likely increased after Japan was hit by an earthquake at the beginning of the year, prompting policymakers to retain the wait-and-see stance. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's Global Development President Christopher G. Elias lauded India's successful digital public infrastructure model. While praising the Indian growth story, he said that India's successful digital public infrastructure model helped achieve their healthcare and other development goals. In India, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has worked in a wide range of sectors in areas including health, agriculture, water, sanitation, digital public infrastructure, and inclusive financial services. On the sidelines of the World Economic Forum annual, said Elias that they would continue to work in these areas. Australia on Tuesday imposed cyber sanctions on a Russian man for his role in the breach at insurer Medibank. One of the country's biggest data thefts impacted about 10 million customers. Targeted financial sanctions and a travel ban have been imposed on Russian citizen Alexander Ermakov. This is the first time Australia has used its cyber sanctions framework since legislating it in 2021. Up next, we get you updates from the world of sports. The 2024 Australian Open tennis major is already in the quarterfinal stage in Melbourne. In men's quarterfinal tie, world number 1 Novak Djokovic will face a test against 12th-seeded Taylor Fritz of the US. Djokovic is looking for a record-breaking 25th Grand Slam title. Spain's Wimbledon champion and second seed Carlos Alcaraz faces Olympic champion Alexander Zverev of Germany in arguably the pick of the last 8 ties. 4th and 5th seeds Yannick Sinner and Andrei Rublev are also pitted against each other, while the 4th quarterfinal sees Hubert Hurkacz take on Daniil Medvedev. Talking of the women's action, in the quarterfinal tie, US Open champion Koko Jones is in action as the 4th seed takes on Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk in the first quarterfinal of the day, followed by defending champion Ariana Sabalenka, who will take on Czech 9th seed Barbora Krejcikova. French police will be on high alert for threats along the route of the 2024 Olympic torch relay. The Olympic torchbearers will be protected by about 100 officers in a security bubble and anti-drone measures in place. The Olympic flame will travel in Marseille from Greece on May 8th, with up to 150,000 people expected to attend the ceremony in the southern city's Old Port before the French leg of the relay begins. The flame will be lit on April 16th in a ceremony at Greece's ancient Olympia, the birthplace of the Games. The torch will remain in Greece for about a week for a short relay before being handed over to host city Paris and its departure for France. Some 18,000 police officers will be on duty in Paris when the torch goes through the city on July 14th and 15th, and on July 26th when the opening ceremony takes place. About 5,000 police personnel will be on the ground in Marseille when the torch arrives. "14-year-old Grasim from Manipur is elated to participate at this edition of Khelo India Youth Games, as the scholarship that she may get after winning a medal would mean a lot and would help her in the future endeavours. Let's listen in.
14 years old Graceme is all elated to participate at the 6th edition of Khelo India Youth Games. And when we talk about your dreams, Graceme, how big is this an opportunity for you?
It's very big because it's the opportunity to go in another level, the above level of competitions, and also it's the biggest opportunity for me right now because if I get medal here, I'll get scholarship, which will help there in Manipur. There's a financial problem now. That's why.
Now, coming from a family where your sisters are also into gymnastics, and here when you see at the infrastructure and the facilities that are being provided to you, what do you have to say about that?
Here, it's very good. The facilities now here are very good. Their quality is so good, and I feel so lucky to be here and to be able to play here with these facilities.
We could see that there was worship. There were worship that took place over here, and Ram consecration ceremony was also celebrated at the venue of this gymnastics. Does that all make it positive for you? Does that make the environment positive for you before playing? The puja is taking place over here at the gymnastics venue.
Yeah, it made positive for me.
All right, Graceme, thank you so much for talking to DD India, and all the very best to you.
Thank you so much.
So there you heard from Graceme that how this scholarship becomes really important for the players when they are training for bigger tournaments and bigger events, and how such events are giving wings to their dreams. With camera person Senthil, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Chennai.
Khelo India Youth Games 2023 is providing a perfect opportunity to the state of Tamil Nadu for showcasing the best talent on the national platform. Not only this, the Khelo India scheme, which is accessible to players from all corners, is turning no stone unturned to uplift players' standards and skills. Here's a report.
Tamil Nadu, the host city of Khelo India Youth Games 2023, is brimming with joy, confidence and hope of making the southern part of India a sporting powerhouse. The host city, which opened Khelo India Youth Games with a gold medal and especially in indigenous sports of Yogasana, is leaving no stone unturned to make the most of this opportunity.
We are very proud to participate in Khelo India, and first time Khelo India has been hosted in Tamil.
खेलो इंडिया हमारे करियर में हमें बहुत हेल्प करता है क्योंकि अब ये थोड़े लेवल इस लेवल से हम खेलेंगे तो इससे ऊपर वो बड़े लेवल के लिए जाएंगे खेलने के लिए, जैसे जूनियर सीनियर नेशनल गेम्स, अलग अलग एशियाड के लिए भी जाएंगे, मतलब अलग अलग गेम होंगे। तो हमें खेलो इंडिया इसलिए मदद करता है कि यहाँ से हम अपना अच्छा मैच करें, अच्छा प्रदर्शन करें तो आगे भी हमारा सिलेक्शन होगा।
Not only Tamil Nadu is putting its best foot forward in proving the young talent's skill and ability, but they are creating history in different aspects as well. Tamil Nadu's twin brothers, Devesh and Sarvesh, bagged first gold in Yogasana for Tamil Nadu in Khelo India Games 2023 and also became the first twin pair to bag the golden medal.
I'm very much happy for both state government and central government. They have provided support for the sports persons and the kids like this. And the same thing, we want to thank our Chief Minister as well as Prime Minister for their initiative for all the sports persons.
Tamil Nadu is hosting Khelo India Games for the very first time, but the focus of the southern state also revolves around women empowerment. Choosing Veera Mangai, the great freedom fighter, is a reflection of transformation and giving more power to women.
Yes, while she is carrying the gold medal, I would dream like this. I should carry a gold medal, Olympic gold medal. I would try.
Khelo India, central government's flagship initiative, is a step forward to encourage sports to grow from grassroots level, and its 360-degree coverage across the country is a testament to government's vision of making India a sporting powerhouse. Deepika Mehto's report for DD India.
All right, let's get to another story of resilience. British adventurer Darren Edwards, who is a wheelchair-bound adventurer, unveiled an upcoming world record attempt to sit-ski across the South Pole. Darren prepares to take an attempt to travel a distance of 333 kilometers during the expedition in December 2024. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.